Ever wonder how a simple thought, that little flicker of an idea, becomes something that can actually change the world? Well, it's a journey. And today, we're going to explore the map for that journey, all the way from that first spark to a real, tangible innovation.
I mean, we all have those aha moments, right? But what's the real difference between a thought that just kind of fades away and a world-changing invention? Here's a hint. It isn't magic. It's actually a structured path, a journey that you can learn to navigate. And that is the journey we are starting right now.
Every great adventure has to have a starting point. And for innovation, that starting point is always the same. A single, brilliant spark of an idea.
So think of what we're doing here as creating a map for anyone out there with an idea. Seriously, it doesn't matter who you are or what you do, this is your guide. We're charting the course from that tiny initial creative spark all the way to making a genuine impact in the real world.
Okay, before we actually start the trip, we need to understand the map's key landmarks, right? And in the world of innovation, that means we have to get really clear on a few fundamental terms that people mix up all the time. Let's define our course. People use creativity and innovation like they're the same thing, but they are so different. And this breakdown makes it crystal clear. See, creativity is the thought, but innovation, that's the action. It's the difference between just imagining something brand new and actually doing it. I absolutely love this analogy of potential versus kinetic energy. One is just stored power, the other is that power in motion. All right, let's zoom in on creativity for a second. The key words here, the ones you really need to remember, are novel and useful. It's not just about having some wild, off-the-wall idea. It has to be something that's new and also has some kind of purpose. It's the seed, It's the raw material that this entire process is going to grow from.
And then comes innovation. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is taking that creative seed and doing all the hard work to plant it and make it grow. The most important phrase here is successful implementation. A brilliant idea you sketch on a napkin, that's creative. But that same idea, developed into a product that a customer is actually using in their life, that is innovation.
So how in the world do we get from one to the other, from the idea to the reality? Well, that's where creative thinking comes in. Think of it as the bridge, or maybe it's the engine that powers you across that massive gap between pure imagination and practical implementation. This is the how-to part of our journey.
All right, we have our map, we know the landmarks. Now every good adventurer needs a toolkit, right? So let's pack our bags with all the essential gear you're gonna need for this creative journey. So what's actually in this toolkit of ours? Let's break it down. It all starts with expertise. I mean, you gotta have some knowledge in your field. Then there's motivation, especially that internal fire, that drive to do something just because you love it. Of course, you need those creative thinking skills we just talked about. And a lot of it comes down to personality too, being open to new experiences and having the guts to take some risks. Because let's be real, you can't innovate if you're not willing to stick your neck out a little.
So how do we actually use these skills? Here's a super simple but incredibly powerful tool. Step 1, you have to really, truly identify the core problem. What are you actually trying to solve here? Step 2 is huge. Brainstorm without judgment. Go for quantity, not quality. Seriously, no idea is a bad idea at this stage. And finally, step 3, you start to combine and refine. You take little pieces of different ideas and see how you can mash them together to create something even stronger.
Okay, the toolkit is packed. We've got some ideas brewing. Let's move on and see how this all builds into a more structured process. This is where we actually start walking the trail, going from a refined idea to a real-life product. This right here is a classic map for designers and innovators everywhere. It kicks off with empathize and define. That means really, truly understanding your user. Then you ideate, which is that wild brainstorming phase we just covered. Next, you build a prototype, just an early, rough version of your idea. And the most critical final step is to test and iterate. You get feedback from real people, you learn from it, and you do it all over again. It's not a straight line, it's a cycle, a loop of constant improvement. We've covered a lot of ground on our journey today, haven't we? From that initial little spark all the way to a repeatable process. So let's bring it all home and think about our final destination. So if there's just one thing you take away from all of this, let it be this simple sequence. Creativity provides the spark. Your personal toolkit is what you use to build on that spark. And a structured process is the map that guides it to become a real innovation. Spark, build, guide. That's a powerful framework to remember.
And that brings us to the end of this explainer, but you know what? It's really the beginning of yours.
We've given you the map and the compass, so the only question left to ask is what journey is your idea going to take?